Hello, my name is Muhammad Rosli. I'm a 2210912.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Syawal bin Ahmad Jalil, 2210907.
Okay. Hi, I'm 2210908, Muhammad Ali Fitri bin Parian. Hi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. I bid to the viewer. Okay, today we will talk about movie Lieutenant Adnan Wirabangsa. Lieutenant Adnan is a 2000 Malaysian war film directed by Aziz M. Osman and co-produced by both Grand Brilliant Paradigm Film and the Malaysian Army. The films tell the story of the action of Adnan bin Saidi, who was once involved as a lieutenant of the Royal Malay Regiment against the Japanese military invasion during the Second World War. Okay, the film stars Hairi Othman as Lieutenant Adnan bin Saidi and Umi Aida as Safia, Adnan's wife.
Rosli, today I will present the 5 why based on the Lieutenant Adnan movie. First of all, who involved in this movie? The people involved in this movie such as Lieutenant Adnan. As a main character, Safia is a wife to Lieutenant Adnan and Malik as a member of Adnan. Second is who often create the problems. The person who always create the problem is a Private Ayub. The individual that is always unsatisfied with other promotions, such as Adnan, before receiving the lieutenant, held a rank as a sergeant and get promoted. Then we see how the Private Ayub likes to argue until he create the argument, which will lead to fighting such as Private Ayub fight with Private Malik. Third is what Lieutenant Adnan believe. The belief that Lieutenant Adnan held during his service is that Malaya need to defend its own state without intervention from other states like British. British took over the natural resources from the Malaya and made a profit of it. So he insists that Malaya needs to be controlled by his own nation and not by others. Next question is when he left his wife. Lieutenant Adnan left his wife when he felt worried about the situation of Malaya. He can hear the explosive sound from the remote area, which made him anxious about the condition of his wife. He wanted his wife to go back to village as the war was coming and he did not know when the war would come to him. Next question, why Japan spy on Malaya? Japan was the clever when it sent Major Fujimura to acknowledge the area of Malaya, such as the main road, what the main vehicle used by the Malaya, and the other information. Japan really prepared in order to invade the Malaya because the information allowed Japan to send the troops to strategic point without interference from the British. Next, where the battle happened. The battle happened at the Bukit Chandu between the 1st Malay Brigades and Japanese. Lieutenant Adnan and Lieutenant Abbas in charge of the battlefield. During the progress of the Japanese, the Lieutenant Adnan lost his resources of ammo and backup of the British troops was not present. He ordered the other teammates to back off and he covered them. He fought until the Japanese faced him face to face and did not surrender, even though Japanese took over the Bukit Chandu.
Okay, next is SWOT analysis. First, SWOT analysis is stand for strength, weakness, opportunity, and traits. First, we look to strength. The first strength is patriotic spirit. In this movie, we can see how the spirit shown by the Malaysian army at that time to liberate our homeland from foreign occupation. Especially to Lieutenant Adnan. In one scene, we can see Lieutenant Adnan, he was asked by Private Ayub. Private Ayub say, why do they have to defend this homeland even they know they are sure they will lose to Japanese? Then Lieutenant Adnan answer back about the greatness of the Malay and the Malaysian soldiers. Second strength is a brave leader. who does not know the meaning of defeat and has a high fighting spirit. When they round on Chandu Hill, we can see the courage of Lieutenant Adnan leading his troops, even though by that time they had run out of ammunition and many members of his army had been wounded, but they still fought back. Lieutenant Adnan also ordered his men to retreat first while he continued to return the fire, until finally the advance of the Japanese forces could not be overcome and Lieutenant Adnan was finally arrested and killed. The last strength is very clever in defining solution. We can see how the policy of a soldier of our country, namely Lieutenant Adnan, in assessing a situation. In one scene, we get to see how Lieutenant Adnan and his team identify the Japanese army disguised as member of the Sikh force. At the time, the Japanese team had just defeated the Sikh team. Several Sikh soldiers were captured and Japanese troops took the opportunity to disguise. Then their effort failed when Lieutenant Adnan and his team denounced the weapon used by the Sikh army as being the same as the weapon of the Japanese army. Next is weakness. First weakness in this movie is a small number armed forces. The Japanese army sent a larger army to capture Malaysian army, as we saw at the end of the film, when the Japanese troops want to capture Bukit Chandu. They sent a battalion of different troops to the Malaysian army, which only had 2 companies left. As a result of this, the army led by Lieutenant Adnan was defeated and Bukit Chandu was captured by the Japanese. Next weakness is war experience. Moreover, the Japanese forces were already accustomed to war, in contrast to the newly formed Malaysian army at the time. Therefore, the experience available to the Japanese military was fully utilized. Next is opportunity. First is Lieutenant Adnan gets a chance to get promoted. Lieutenant Adnan indeed aspired to be in the army. He also willing to leave his career as a teacher just to join the army. He later succeeded in becoming a soldier. His success did not stop there. He was commissioned as the best cadet. Then he was also selected as one of the Malaysian soldiers who had the opportunity to go to London, after which he was promoted to become a lieutenant. Second is got the opportunity to lead the first Malaysian army to fight against Japan. Lieutenant Adnan and Lieutenant Abbas were given the mandate to lead the first Malaysian army when the Japanese invaded Malaysia. This opportunity was fully taken advantage of by both of them, especially Lieutenant Adnan. This fighting spirit show how the Malay soldier were also able to fight the threat of external enemies. Okay, the last one is threats. First is Japanese strategy. The Japanese had done a truth planning before invading Malaysia. Among the plan that can be seen in this film is they hire the spy. We can see he sent a Major Fujiwara who disguised as a Chinese named Aseng and had a bicycle workshop. He snapped a picture of the situation around the Sungai Ramal area and many more. Then the picture was sent to Japan. As a result, they take advantage of the situation.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm 221-0908. Muhammad Al-Fitri bin Parian. Okay, in this presentation, I will focus the leadership traits found in Lieutenant Adnan bin Saidi. Okay, the first is assertiveness. That means Lieutenant Adnan is not easy to give up. He survived even though the Japanese army had the largest number of military personnel. For example, fierce fighting took place in Bukit Chandu. All types of weapons are used, including grenades and automatic weapons. Lieutenant Adnan himself wield Louis gun. In the most cases, soldiers forced in face-to-face combat using bayonets, but they remain steadfast in disappointing the enemy. Okay, in the next few days, officer and soldiers was died. Adnan was badly injured but refused to retreat and instead continued his men fighting to the last drop of blood. It was his courage that aroused the fighting spirit of his pupil to preserve. Okay, the next one is Lieutenant Adnan bin Saidi is a person with high spirit of patriotism. This is said because initially he was trainer, a teacher, and taught at the Sungai Ramal School. But with high interest in the military, he was willing to leave his career to serve his country and nation, and spirit during the war defend Bukit Chandu from the Japanese. Okay, this can show that he was the high spirit of patriotism. Okay.
In a conclusion, we can learn many things from the problems that have been identified and the solution that has been provided. Last is the importance of leadership is provided by the movie for the knowledge of how it works and in order to become a rational leader and be the best leader in all form. Thank you so much.